Hello everyone. You're welcome to Hughton'S Aborted YouTube channel, your home of exclusivity. And in the last couple of days, I haven't been able to come in here and share with you some lots of stuff that have happened behind the scenes. Some people actually say this is Muftau because it appears these days I sit on a lot of information that hitherto I would have shared, but it appears in recent times my focus and energy appear to have redirected and channeled towards this um, this baby of mine, Man Electrical, where we say quality is affordable. In fact, just earlier today, I had to get in some new products. Every now and then, I need to get in some new products. Brought some rechargeable bulbs, brought some solar lamps, some extension bars because I was running out of extension bars. So yes, patronize me, and in fact, when I make my first $1 million out of this business, I will celebrate with all of you. But in the last couple of hours, many things have happened. I've served many of my followers on Twitter and Facebook, loads of stuff. But unfortunately, as I normally would have done, I would have been here to share some stuff with you. But unfortunately, I didn't do it. So let me render an unqualified apology for that. But let's zoom straight into why I am here to have a conversation with you. On Friday, November 10, the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association had a meeting with a technical team of the Black Stars led by Chris Hughton. And I was made to understand that during that meeting, there was more of an honest and open-minded conversation where everyone agreed and reached the conclusion that the Black Stars, they need to improve. And under Chris Hughton, we are heading to the World Cup qualifiers against Madagascar and Comoros. So everyone, including the head coach of the Black Stars, Chris Hughton, they all agree that the team must improve. The team must begin to produce results. The team must begin to stamp its authority on games. And one of the questions that many people actually raised was the fact that the Black Stars cannot string 5 passes together. I'm sure it was a major concern for the leadership of the Ghana Football Association. But in the end, they all agreed that the team must improve. This became very necessary because those who follow me on Twitter and then even on Facebook would have seen stories that I posted about how the Ghana Football Association had mooted a plan to part company with Chris Hughton. It was on October 20 when this came to my attention, where and around that time the leadership of the Ghana Football Association were still in the US after the friendly matches against Mexico and USA. And after those matches, the conclusion was that they needed to part company with Chris Hughton. But this did not just start there. Though the earlier rumors that had come to my attention was after the last AFCON qualifier against Central African Republic. But after that game, when the idea of parting company with Chris Hughton came up, it wasn't something that many people actually bought into. So I never saw it flying. And when they were in the US and then it came to my attention, this one, it came from someone who is extremely reliable. Like I said, people say it's Muftau, that Muftau would have had that information and sit on it for 3-4 weeks and never did anything about it until such a time that people began to post about it. And in fact, people had actually even asked me in private whether I knew whether something like that was happening. And I kept telling them, yes. But publishing the story myself was something that I didn't do. I remember when the FA president, Keto Kriku, texted some people in certain in authority wanting their backing to part company with Chris Hughton. It was outrightly rejected. They tried lobbying to be able to get Chris Hughton fired. It never worked out. On November 9, there was a meeting. Keto Kriku was not part of that meeting, but Chris Hughton was in that meeting. a management committee member of the Black Stars who did not take the World Cup appearance fee money. He didn't take it. He was in that meeting as well. He's a very respectable figure and also a very big businessman. He was also part of that meeting. The Minister of Youth and Sport was part of that meeting. And someone who has interest in whatever happens to Chris Hughton was also part of that meeting. And in fact, I recall that Mr. Ajiman, the tourism authority, one of the tourism authority guys, he's part. Is it something Ajiman? He's part of the management committee of the Black Stars. He texted Gabi Ochiridaku and told him that they needed to do something about the coach. They needed to part company with the coach and all that. And Gabi was like, okay, when you come back to Ghana, we can have that conversation. So when he came back to Ghana and all the lobbying and all that did not fly, the executive council, they were bent on firing Chris. There were also those who did not subscribe to firing Chris. And all the conversations that ensued, in the end, they came to the conclusion that Chris would have to stay. One of the things that actually came to my attention was the fact that George Burton, who was being considered a potential replacement for Chris Hughton, is a very good friend of the Minister of Youth and Sports. And people actually felt that if the minister endorses that, what it will mean is that he's choosing his friend to lead the national team, and politically it wouldn't be good for him and other people and all that. So in the end, they had to agree that Chris Hughton is not going anywhere. And in fact, it was never going to be a pleasant situation, considering the fact that the ministry still owes CK Akono, the ministry owes Milovan Rival. You're going to sack Chris Hughton just after 7 matches and then bring him back and then add more debt to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So many people actually felt that it made no sense to part company with Chris Hughton. And another thing was actually the fact that she has not lost any competitive game. These were just friendly matches that he lost. So why was everyone flying left, right, and center wanting him fired and all that? So all these things culminated in the agreement that Chris Hughton shouldn't go. But the biggest thing was the fact that Chris Hughton himself has admitted that the team needs to improve. In his recent interview with BBC, he said the team needs to improve. When he met the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association, Pesosis, the team needs to improve. So he himself agrees that the team needs to improve. And in fact, he has never lost an opportunity to tell us that managing the Black Stars is something he always says that it's an honor to lead the national team. So himself, he knows that things must get better. Things must go on a certain trajectory for the national team so that everything would go well. So at this point, Chris Hughton is not going anywhere. In fact, I don't know if I should share my personal opinion, but my personal opinion is that yes, we were expecting so much from Chris Hughton and we haven't had that. And if the GFA decides that after 7 matches he's not, he hasn't proven that yes, what we expected. Because considering a man with his CV, having coached in the Premier League, we're expecting him to be a notch higher to what we have had previously managing the Black Stars. And if after 7 matches we haven't seen anything like that, people have the right to be very disappointed, and people have the right to in fact I admire Chris Hughton so much, but there would get to a point that Mufta will go like, no, Chris, in as much as I admire you, please, your results are not coming. And even now, the results are not coming. Now, I admire you, but I'll tell you that, no, Chris, your results are not coming. So you need to get your game up and doing, and you need to continue to produce results for the country, because Ghanaians want the best. The excuse often that he doesn't have the full complement of his squad is neither here nor there for me. Are you saying that if you don't have the full complement of your squad and you're going to a tournament, you're not going to that tournament to win simply because you don't have the full complement of your squad? That conversation, in as much as the full complement of the squad will be massive for him, I don't subscribe to those who think that without the full complement of his squad, he wouldn't be in a position to compete against the best in the continent and the rest of the world. And now, to my personal opinion on the leadership of the Ghana Football Association, I personally feel that the GFA, they don't have the moral right to part company with Chris Hughton. What is that special thing that they have done to think that Ghanaians should trust them to be able to coach another coach or go and hire another coach? You said Kwesi Appiah was not good enough. You allowed him to go. His contract expired. He left. You brought in CK Akono. You fired him. Brought in Milo. You fired him. Otto Addo, a stopgap coach. Then Chris Hughton. It means that even the leadership of the Ghana Football Association, from where I sit, do not even have a specific technical direction they want for the Black Stars. So if in the space of four years you've worked about 5 separate coaches, why should Ghanaians trust you to be able to hire the next Black Stars coach? So it's actually something that I don't think that the GFA actually had the moral right. In as much as they feel they're in a position to often take certain decisions, everyone has an opinion on how football in this country should be managed. It's just by virtue of a privilege that they have gotten to be in that position. But that does not mean that whatever they decide to do is the right thing that must be done. It's about time we tell the FA leadership that, come on, quote unquote, you've been rubbish yourselves in terms of how you think our national team should play. Even the junior national teams, you keep recycling coaches as if you don't have a specific plan of how you want us to play. You made Berhad Lipe develop a DNA for Ghana football, and he's left. Who is now going to implement that DNA? The person who has a perfect picture of that DNA has left. And in fact, his departure from where I sit is a perfect thing. It's a perfect thing because since Berhad Lipe came to Ghana, what is that impact he came and made in Ghana football? What is that impact? Yeah, so it's okay for him to go, but some level of continuity sometimes is also perfect. At this point, how do we implement the DNA? Is it going to be implemented by the GFA president? And in fact, one of the things I've realized speaking to coaches is the fact that every single coach has his idea and philosophy of how football should be played. So if you create a DNA, doesn't mean that every single coach must adopt that DNA. So if I don't adopt that DNA, that it doesn't make me a very good coach or someone who doesn't trust the Ghanaian football system. It's quite problematic for me. And I will always say this. Keto Kreku, if you ever come across this video, or if anyone comes across this video, you can send it to Keto Kreku. I know, you can send it to him. Kurt, you have another failure to govern Ghana football. And as much as there are issues at the Court of Arbitration for Sport and even some civil courts in Ghana, you need to be focused. In the next 4 years, Nisio Kreku, stop telling us we are Ghana. We all know we are Ghana. Lower our expectations. Stop raising our expectations. I might be discerning enough to lower my expectations, considering the number of years I've seen the national team play. In fact, when we felt we were at a point of ruling the rest of the continent by winning the African Cup of Nations back to back, it never happened. So personally, I will always lower my expectations. What about the unsuspecting Ghanaians who take whatever leadership of the Ghana Football Association say hook, line, and sinker? How do we expect them to take it? You come and tell us we have the quality to go and win. What if you tell us that we have a specific plan to win the African Cup of Nations in the next 5 years? And in the next 5 years, if in the next 2 years or 3 years or even 4 years, if you win the African Cup of Nations, it's a plus. That one, you've been able to hold our expectations. At the 5th year, we can begin to come at you if you don't win. But if every single time we are Ghana, we are going to win. We are Ghana, we are going to win. And when they go, the team doesn't perform. They come back, come very hard at you, and you take on media. And if they say if we have Messi or Ronaldo, we should tell you so that you let him call. They will let the coaches call him, call the player to come. We can't do that. We can't. We can't. Kurt, we need a plan. You need a plan. You need to create something. You need to leave a legacy. You have to. You always say the Black Stars is the biggest asset. The Black Stars is the biggest asset. So treat it as an asset. Stop treating it like someone kiss gloves. Then you punch this technical director away, punch this director away. I don't want to speak about the fact that you claims that you have a frustrated relationship with Chris Hughton. In fact, I was the first person to report that you have a frustrated relationship with Chris Hughton. But It's not something that I want to dwell on. You had this with CK Akuno. You cannot have this with Chris Hughton. If you're always fighting with your coaches, how do you expect to win? Is it because you don't pay them? If you were the one paying them from the coffers of the Ghana Football Association and you are fighting them, do you think you will produce results? Or because their money comes from somewhere and doesn't come from the coffers of the Ghana Football Association, you think that you can always fight with them and go away? No, Chris, Ketch, you can't do this. You can't do this. You know me, Ketch, you know me so well. You know me extremely, extremely well. You know that I admire you. You know that I like you. But the point is, if my opinion is shaped based on how I see things, come on, those things happening behind the scenes. Stop thinking that we will not know. We will know. People will tell us. People will tell us. Because you're dealing with people, and those people have also got friends, and their friends' friends, and their friends' friends. So in the end, and in fact, those people you're even dealing with, probably some of us are the friends of journalists. So why do you think that some of these things would always be under the carpet? No, and in the end, you come and say that lies is a norm of the media today. No, you can't do that. You have practiced the thing before. You practiced journalism before, and you know how the stories are created. It's not everyone who conjectures stories. No. In fact, someone actually told me sometimes Chris Hughton worked under extremely difficult situations, difficult environment. Why would the environment be difficult for him if we all want him to succeed? We can't do that. Let me sign out by extending my condolences to the family of Raphael Jomina, who passed on Saturday in the 23rd minute of a league match in Albania, where he collapsed on the pitch. He had a heart attack and died on the pitch, and may he so rest in peace. It's quite difficult. I remember about 2-3 years ago when I had a conversation with Dr. Pambo, who said he would have preferred that he stays away from the game for a while. But he said that it was God who was taking care of his heart. In fact, doctors had said that he shouldn't play football anymore, but he chose to play football. A move to Brighton did not happen because they detected that he had heart issues. And, maybe this is the time God has chosen for him to return to his maker. General Raphael, I was at the stadium to watch Raphael Jomina play for the Black Stars against Ethiopia in 2017, where Ghana won that game by, was it 5-1, if my memory serves me right. General Raphael.